Welcome everyone. Thank you for listening to my very first Sunroom Chat. I will begin with the forces of nature. I suspect that most of you have played around with toy magnets at one time or another. If you have, then you discovered the strong force of attraction pulling the two magnets together. Scientists have shown that the electrons in the magnets create force fields, and the force fields are the connecting links pulling the two magnets together. However, how the force fields accomplish this feat is unknown. The connecting links are a complete mystery. This is also true for the electric forces, gravity, and the nuclear forces. They are all shrouded in mystery. Perhaps at this point we should ask ourselves this question: how is it possible that thousands of brilliant physicists from around the world have failed to solve the forces of nature? And why are there dozens of other conundrums in physics that have remained a mystery for more than 100 years? Dr. Lee Smolin, a theoretical physicist, explains in his book, The Trouble with Physics, that his whole generation of physicists, beginning in the 1970s, has not produced a single basic discovery in physics.
The following is a quote from Dr. Lee Smolin. His book was published in 2006. For more than 2 centuries, until the present period, our understanding of the laws of nature expanded rapidly. But today, despite our best efforts, what we know for certain about these laws is no more than what we knew back in the 1970s.
To put it bluntly, he says, we have failed. Think about it. This might be the greatest mystery of them all. However, from my perspective, looking in from the outside the field of physics, the answer to this conundrum seems obvious. I believe the lack of progress in physics has been created by a false theory and by known limitations in the way humans think.
The following is a quote from Dr. Daniel Kahneman, a Nobel Prize-winning psychologist. He says there are 2 important facts about our minds. We can be blind to the obvious, and we are also blind to our blindness.
As the old saying goes, it's as plain as the nose on your face. Yet we deny the facts, and we are blind to our blindness. Richard Tedlow explains denial this way.
A quote from Richard Tedlow, professor at Harvard Business School. Denial is the unconscious calculus that if an unpleasant reality were true, it would be too terrible, so therefore it cannot be true. It is what Sigmund Freud described as the combination of knowing with not knowing. It is, in George Orwell's blunt formulation, protective stupidity. In his book entitled Denial, 2010, Richard Tedlow states that denial is one of the principal reasons business leaders fail.
In the scientific world, I believe denial and blindness have led us to accept and promote a false theory. A theory that has permeated and restricted thought in many different areas of physics for more than 100 years. The only theory that might meet this unfortunate condition is Dr. Albert Einstein's theory of relativity. Relativity in all its forms are bold theories that seemingly solve some difficult conundrums in physics. But, and this is a big but, the tenets of Einstein's theories rest on a belief that matter can be converted to energy, and it requires us to believe in a 4-dimensional world.
It requires almost blind faith to believe that we live in a 4-dimensional world, and it requires almost blind faith to believe that matter can become pure energy. It also requires denial of the obvious. I believe Einstein's 2 postulates have done almost irreparable damage to the field of physics.
This is not the time to discuss relativity in detail, but I do discuss it in my book. Also in my book, I present my virtual elastic string theory. My theory relies on a 3-dimensional world, and it easily explains the source of all energy. And I might add, this source of energy is definitely not interchangeable with matter. It explains the forces of nature and more than 80 other conundrums of science, including relativity. Thank you for listening to my Sunroom Chat. There will be more to follow. Some information on my book is shown at the end of this movie. My book is free. I invite you to read my book and stay in touch. Thank you.